In our last video, we showed you exactly how to attract earthworms to your raised garden beds, and chances are, by now, you've started seeing those little soil builders show up. But here's the thing, getting worms into your garden is only the first step. The real challenge is keeping them there, helping them thrive and letting them transform your soil from the inside out. And one of the most powerful ways to do that? Mulching. But not just any mulch will do. In fact, the wrong kind of mulch can dry out your soil, block air, or even drive your worms away. In this video, we're diving deep into the best mulch to turn your raised beds and containers into a worm paradise. The kind of living, breathing habitat that keeps moisture in, weeds out, and soil life exploding. Let's get into it. Most gardeners reach for mulch to conserve water or suppress weeds. While those are important benefits, when you're working with containers or raised beds, your mulch must also function as a habitat, a pantry, and a weather shield. Earthworms need constant moisture, moderate temperatures, and a steady supply of organic matter to process. The right mulch offers all three. The wrong mulch dries out compacts or worse, repels worms entirely. When you get mulch right, you'll notice faster decomposition, higher nutrient cycling, better moisture retention, and more visible worm activity. That means richer soil, stronger roots, and more resilient plants. Whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned soil builder, choosing the proper mulch is honestly one of the most powerful decisions you can make in your garden. Shredded leaf mulch is the undisputed champion. There is one mulch that consistently outperforms the rest when it comes to raising worms in confined garden spaces. Shredded leaves. If you've ever walked through a forest in autumn, you've already seen nature's most effective soil system in action. Beneath that crunchy carpet of leaves is a teeming world of life, fungal threads, decomposers, and yes, earthworms. Shredded leaves hold moisture like a sponge but don't compact into a suffocating mat. They break down at just the right pace, releasing nutrients slowly while encouraging fungal growth, a key food source for worms. The structure of shredded leaves also makes it easy for worms to navigate through, creating tunnels as they go. To use them effectively, you want to apply a 1 to 2 inch layer directly on top of moist soil. If the leaves are fresh, give them a few days to settle in. If they're slightly aged or have a hint of white fungal threads, even better. In spring and fall, when natural moisture is higher, this mulch type creates explosive worm activity. Within days you'll notice castings at the surface, a clear sign your worms have moved in and gone to work. In containers, shredded leaf mulch performs just as well, but you must water more consistently. Leaf mulch dries out faster in smaller spaces, so make it a point to check moisture under the mulch daily during hot spells. Never let the leaf layer go bone dry, or you'll risk sending worms deeper where they're less effective at surface feeding. Clean straw is honestly a top performer when it comes to creating airy, cool beds for your garden. Now, not everyone has a steady supply of leaves, but luckily, clean wheat or barley straw offers an excellent alternative. And you know, it comes with a few added perks. Unlike hay, which can introduce weed seeds into your garden, clean straw is pretty much seed-free, and it breaks down at a moderate, worm-friendly pace. It's light and fluffy, creating these nice air pockets that prevent compaction and help regulate moisture. One of straw's superpowers is its ability to reflect sunlight, which is really helpful. In warm climates or during those peak summer months, this feature helps keep the soil surface cool and inviting. Earthworms are sensitive to heat and dryness, so a straw mulch actually creates a protective buffer that lets them keep working just inches below the surface. For the best results, you'll want to spread about 2 inches of loosely packed straw across your raised bed or container. Water it in gently to help settle the material and then, just maintain it weekly by checking for compaction or dryness. If the straw starts to mat or crust, simply fluff it up with a rake or even your gloved hands. A living mulch should always feel loose and breathable, both for you and your worms. If you're looking to kickstart soil biology fast, especially in a new or depleted bed, a thin layer of partially finished compost can really work wonders. While it's not a mulch in the traditional sense, aged compost used on the soil surface acts as a high-nutrient layer that encourages worms to surface feed almost immediately. Worms are drawn to microbial activity, and aged compost is just a buffet of bacteria and fungi. So, spread a half-inch layer over your moist soil, then top it with shredded leaves or straw. This layering technique creates a little microhabitat where worms can feed, tunnel, and reproduce right beneath your mulch. Be sure to avoid using compost that is still hot or overly green. If it's still heating up or has a strong ammonia smell, it's not ready. Use compost that's crumbly, dark, and smells sweet and earthy. When done right, this method can transform even tired soil into a rich, active growing medium in just a few weeks. Handle coconut coir with care. Coconut coir is gaining popularity in container gardening thanks to its tidy appearance and excellent water retention. But, when it comes to worms, coir is a mixed bag. It's relatively sterile, contains little nutrition, and decomposes very slowly. Worms don't avoid coir, but they don't thrive in it unless it's mixed with more biologically rich materials. If you like the structure and moisture-holding capacity of coir, use it as part of a mulch blend. Combine 1 part coir with 1 part shredded leaves or compost to provide better microbial activity. Otherwise, as a standalone mulch, coir does little to attract or sustain worm populations in the long term. So, let's talk about what not to use. Avoid wood chips in tight spaces. Fresh wood chips might look natural, but honestly, they're one of the worst mulches you can use in raised beds or containers focused on worm activity. Wood chips, especially those with a lot of bark or resin, break down super slowly and actually tie up nitrogen as they decompose. That can really delay plant growth and even repel worms. In small garden spaces, every inch of your soil needs to be biologically active, and wood chips just kind of sit there, doing very little for weeks or even months. Sure, they might have a place in orchard paths or as a base mulch in perennial systems, but if you're working in a confined garden where worm productivity matters, it's best to skip the chips. Now, about cardboard and newspaper, these recycled paper products can be great as weed barriers or as base layers in sheet mulching systems. But using cardboard or newspaper as a top mulch in raised beds or containers can actually backfire. These materials block airflow, dry out quickly, and can form a crust that stops worms from feeding at the surface. If you do want to use paper mulch, here's a tip. Tear it into small pieces and make sure to moisten it well before you add a layer of compost or shredded leaves over the top. This helps worms get access to moisture and food right at the surface, while still letting air and water pass through. It's a simple step, but it really makes a difference. Now let's keep your mulch layer alive. Mulch is only as good as its condition. For worms, a friendly mulch should feel cool, damp, and have that earthy smell. If it's bone dry, smells sour, or is all compacted, it quickly turns from a haven into a barrier. So make it a weekly habit to gently lift your mulch and check the layer underneath. Is it moist and spongy? Does it have that sweet, earthy scent of healthy decay? If not, it's time to refresh, rewater, or just refluff things a bit. That way you'll keep your worms happy and your garden thriving. You can also boost the microbial activity in your mulch layer by applying worm tea or compost tea. To make a quick microbial boost, just mix 1 cup of worm castings into 1 gallon of dechlorinated water and let it sit overnight. Then apply this directly to your mulch to encourage fungal and bacterial growth, which in turn invites more worm activity. Another great additive is fermented rice water. You make it by rinsing 1 cup of rice in 2 cups of water, letting it ferment for about 24 to 48 hours, and then diluting it 1 to 5 with water before you apply it. Ready to make the change? Your worms will thank you. In raised beds and containers, mulch isn't just helpful, it's foundational. Earthworms need a safe, consistent environment to do their best work. By choosing the right mulch and maintaining it properly, you're not only feeding your soil, you're building a self-sustaining system that supports plant health, reduces the need for fertilizer, and turns every scoop of soil into a living, breathing powerhouse. Leaf mulch, clean straw, and aged compost remain the top choices for worm-friendly beds. With just a bit of care and consistency, your mulch layer will transform into a living blanket that encourages worm activity, increases nutrient cycling, and helps your garden reach its full potential. If you found this video helpful, Don't forget to subscribe to Soil and Crop Central and share this with your fellow gardeners. The best gardens grow from the ground up, and when you mulch with purpose, the worms will do the rest.